Hello everyone, I am officially back from my trip to Austin, Texas. If you want to see about that, there is a highlights video which I uploaded yesterday. Go check that out if you want to get a little bit of a look-see at what I was up to over the last few days. I have a bunch of footage left over, so I might do one or two more. I'm not promising anything, but I kind of want to make use of some of the footage that got left on the cutting room floor yesterday. However, I'm back and I'm going to kick things off, resume my content with a little bit of a chat about Nintendo, as we have a little look-see at the sales of the system, as well as a kind of sort of comment on why the system was discontinued from Reggie Fils-Aimé. Now, of course, we discussed the cancellation of the NES Classic before I left, and my reaction alongside everybody else's was just like, what? Say again? But we now have learned that the sell-in figure for the NES Classic is well over 2 million. Of course, they were at 1.5 million back in February, so this is pretty damn impressive. Obviously, this makes the decision to discontinue the system even more puzzling, but when speaking to Time, Reggie did have a few things to say, and he said, quote, "We had originally planned for this beta product for last holiday. We just didn't anticipate how incredible the response would be. Once we saw that response, we added shipments and extended the product for as long as we could to meet more of that consumer demand." Now, he didn't exactly spill the beans on why they decided to cancel the system when they're having trouble meeting the huge demand. You know, it sold over 2 million with the problems that people have been having even getting hold of the damn thing, you know, without going to eBay or whatever. And apparently it's just a resources issue. And he said, quote, "Even with that extraordinary level of performance, we understand that people are frustrated with not being able to find the system, and for that we really do apologise. But from our perspective, it's important to recognise where our future is and the key areas that we need to drive. We've got a lot going on right now and we don't have unlimited resources." So I guess this means that despite how well it was doing, the NES Classic wasn't worth the resources spent, because, you know, while they are Nintendo, they probably have a giant pool of money, kind of like Scrooge McDuck, but they still only have X amount of resources, and obviously they've got to pay their staff, they've got to do marketing and all this other stuff, and obviously there's probably products that they've started to research and develop and then thought, oh no, this isn't going to work, you know, who knows how many design iterations the Switch went through before they chose the final design that of course is out now in the hands of gamers. You kind of get where I'm going with this. So basically that says to me that while the NES Classic did very, very well, it wasn't enough to kind of warrant the resources they were spending on it. So does this perhaps cast a doubt on the rumours about a SNES Classic? Not necessarily, because you could argue that, well, they've diverted those resources to the SNES Classic instead. They didn't want to have the both at the same time because they kind of would compete with each other, and again, X amount of resources is being dedicated to this particular segment of Nintendo's business. Obviously, they've got games and development and stuff to worry about as well. And speaking of games, we actually have a sales figure for Pokemon Sun and Moon, and this is for the financial year 2017. And Pokemon Sun and Moon not only did really well itself, it obviously helped push the sales of the 3DS itself. Now, obviously, we have heard previously that the mobile game Pokemon Go helped put interest back into Pokemon, got a load of people new into the actual, like, you know, mainline Pokemon games, and that has carried over to Sun and Moon. Obviously, that's shipped 15.44 million units during the fiscal year ending March the 31st, which of course conversely helped bolster the sales of the 3DS, as the sell-through rate of 3DS surpassed the previous year, despite being out for 7 years at this point. And for the entire fiscal year, Nintendo are reporting 7.27 million 3DS systems having been shipped, which is up 500,000 units year over year, and the lifetime sales of the 3DS stand at a pretty damn impressive 66.12 million units. So, to be honest, I'm pretty happy to see Pokemon Sun and Moon doing so well, because it is a really, really great game, and one of the best Pokemon games in years, to be quite frank with you. I need to actually get back to finishing that game. I tend to get distracted, and obviously there's been a lot of games coming out, so unfortunately it's been sitting untouched for a couple of months now, but I do need to get back on that. And obviously we do have some really good sales for other titles on the 3DS as well, including Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, which is 1.9 million, X and Y 1.4, Mario Kart 7 1.97, and the lifetime sales of 3DS games for the end of March sits at 329.25 million units. And Nintendo expects it to continue on this pretty awesome streak. They're expecting for the fiscal year, which will now end March 31st, 2018, to sell 6 million 3DSs, and they also expect to sell 40 million games for the handheld during that same period. Will that be the case? Well, it's hard to say. I mean, the hype for Pokemon Go has definitely died down a lot. I mean, it's still a popular game, but it obviously is nowhere near the popularity that it was near its peak. You know, at that time, pretty much everyone and their mother was talking about it. All I saw on my feed was people going, oh, I found so-and-so Pokemon on my egg hatch today or whatever. And obviously that isn't really the case anymore. It's still a very popular game again. But obviously with the declining interest in that, you've got less people being converted over to these sort of quote-unquote real Pokemon games like Sun and Moon and so on. But obviously, they are good games by themselves. So, you know, the next Pokemon game, whenever that is, I doubt very much it will be this year. But, you know, whenever that is, that will probably still do really well. And obviously, they undoubtedly still have games planned for the 3DS if they are continuing, or hoping to continue, should I say, this rather impressive streak. Obviously, a game is nothing with a system without its games, rather, and well, I suppose a game is nothing without a system as well. But you get my point. So, just shows me that Nintendo are sticking to their word for now, that the success of the Switch does not mean rip the 3DS. They are going to be putting out something, it seems, for them to be so confident as to sell 40 million games during the entire fiscal period. Which, oh, sorry, 40 million, not 60 million, excuse me. Bit of a misspeak there. While I am feeling much better after a lovely sleep last night, I am still recovering from my trip to Texas, you know, jet lag, and obviously been very, very busy over the last few days, and it's very hot over there as well, so I'm kind of readjusting to the horrible cold here as well, so do forgive me for that. But regardless, the TLDR of all of this is that the NES Classic is doing really, really well, and there's something going on that means they can't dedicate the resources to it. Probably means a SNES Classic, but you know, I wouldn't read too much into it. And of course, Pokemon Sun and Moon doing very, very well for itself, as well as of course the 3DS itself. So, thank you very much for watching. As always, your support is highly appreciated, and I'll see you next time.